Paranormal Disneyland Stories Part 4. This is more video surveillance of a possible ghost caught on camera at Disneyland. There's been multiple theories to try to debunk this. Some say it's a trick of the light, and others think it's what happens when a surveillance tape is taped over itself again. Either way, I'll let the video play out, and you let me know what you think.
Dark Things Disney Doesn't Want You to Know, Part 15. So in Part 14 of this series, I talked about the deadly monorail crash that killed a 21-year-old worker at Disney. This isn't the first time that this ride has taken someone's life. The first death occurred in 1966 during the park's annual grad night. Pictured here is 19-year-old Thomas Guy Cleveland. He attempted to sneak into the park on that night. He successfully managed to climb over the park's 16-foot high fence, and then he got onto the monorail tracks. But while on the track, the monorail train struck and killed him. It dragged his body 30 to 40 feet before stopping. More on this case in my next YouTube video. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Link in bio. Dark Things Disney Doesn't Want You to Know, Part 2. So in 1979, Disney actually had a lawsuit filed against them because someone died on their Space Mountain ride. After this ride, this woman was feeling super sick and she tried to get off the ride. But the workers unfortunately didn't see her, and she got sent on the ride again. This time, when the ride came to an end, she was unconscious. The ride had put her into a coma, and a week later, she passed away. Now, I know you guys are all thinking, well, how did she die on the ride? Well, here. So, apparently on the ride, a tumor had dislodged from her heart and traveled to her brain, which is super freaking scary. But in the end, after finding that this was the cause of death, the lawsuit was dropped. But still, this case is super controversial because people think, well, if she got off sooner and wasn't sent around on the ride again, could she maybe still be here today? Like for Part 3.
Deaths at Disney, Part 3. February 11th, 2004. 38-year-old father of two, Javier Cruz, who was dressed as Pluto in the Share a Dream Come True parade, died when his foot got stuck under a multi-section float. This accident took place in a restricted area of the Magic Kingdom where the parade was traveling from staging area to staging area. OSHA fined the entertainment giant only $6,300 and issued a citation following Javier's death. September 12, 1992, a 37-year-old man with a shotgun entered Epcot demanding to see his ex-girlfriend who was working at the park. Security attempted to intervene but were quickly overcome when he fired 4 blasts and took 2 guards hostage in the restrooms over near the Journey into Imagination Pavilion. As he was later surrounded by police, he eventually let the 2 hostages go and emerged from the restrooms with the gun to his head. He eventually took his own life. February 14th, 1999, a 65-year-old custodian was cleaning the Fantasyland Skyway station. All of a sudden, the ride was accidentally turned on by employees that didn't know the custodian was there cleaning. In a desperate act to save himself, he grabbed onto one of the carts. Unfortunately, he lost his grip and fell 40 feet to his death. The ride was officially shut down November 10th, 1999. May 15th, 1964, 15-year-old Mark Maples was enjoying his time at Disneyland when he decided that he wanted to ride the famous Matterhorn bobsled. As the bobsled approached its peak, Mark decided to unbuckle his belt and try to stand up. Losing his balance, he fell to the tracks below. Some reports say that his skull was crushed instantly by an oncoming bobsled, while others say that he died 3 days later from his injuries. January 3rd, 1984, a 48-year-old woman from Vermont, California, was decapitated when she was thrown from her bobsled and hit by an oncoming bobsled. An investigation found that her seatbelt was not buckled, and it is still unclear if this was intentional.
I'm at Disneyland for the week, so I thought I'd give you guys Paranormal Disneyland Stories. This is Part 1. It's common knowledge that Walt Disney had an apartment over the fire station on Main Street. There is a light in the window that is always left on as a tribute to Walt, who died in 1966. But before the tradition of leaving the light on began, a cast member was in charge of turning the light on and off. One evening, a cast member turned off the light and left the room. When she returned, she found the light turned on again. According to the story, she heard a voice that said, "I am still here." The light is now always turned on.
Dark Things Disney Doesn't Want You to Know, Part 4. Today, let's talk about the mysterious disappearance of Rebecca Corium. Rebecca Corium was a 24-year-old worker on the Disney Wonder cruise ship. On March 22, 2011, while working on the cruise ship, Rebecca disappeared without a trace. This is one of the last photos taken of her, and it was from CCTV footage. At 5:45 a.m. that morning, footage revealed Rebecca talking on the phone with someone. She seemed visibly distressed. Now here's where it gets twisted. Many people believe that Disney knows exactly what happened to Rebecca, but are trying to cover up this whole thing. Let me explain. For starters, the captain of the ship said that Rebecca was just washed over by a big wave. They then gave Rebecca's parents a sandal and said that this was hers and it was retrieved from the deck that she was last seen on. Number 1, the sandal wasn't her size. Number 2, it wasn't her style. It was also revealed that Disney had edited the CCTV footage. Check out part 2 on this case for more information.
Scary stories about Disneyland, except this one there's actual proof. One time a guy went to Disneyland and was waiting to ride the roller coaster on Space Mountain. He was standing in line when a guy with red hair came up to him and started talking to him. He seemed nice, but he was a little bit odd. But the thing is, when the ride was over, this red-haired man literally vanished into thin air. The guest reported this incident and was told that he was alone the entire time. This guest might have just encountered a ghost people know as Mr. One Way. Rumor has it that he's the ghost of a man who passed away while on the ride in the 1970s. He always vanishes right before the ride is over, and he likes to talk to people who are riding the roller coaster alone. People have also reported seeing him in the cast member locker rooms. Follow if you want a part 2 because there's so many ghost stories about Disneyland.
Dark things Disney doesn't want you to know? Part 20. Today, let's talk about the tragic death of Devin Staples. Devin Staples was a 22-year-old employee at Disney. He was best known for dressing up as Gaston, but he also played a variety of other characters. Sadly, on July 4th, 2015, Devin lost his life. On this night, while celebrating the 4th of July, he took a firework and placed it on his head. The firework got caught on fire and exploded, taking Devin's life instantly. Devin's brother was the first one to arrive on scene, and when he did, he said that there was no Devin left. That is a very traumatic thing to see. You're probably wondering how the firework got set off in the first place. According to people around him, he was teasing that he was going to light it and didn't actually mean to, so it went off accidentally. Then you got the media that's saying that he wanted to take his own life. But Devin's family and friends don't think this is the case. Either way, Disney does not want anyone to know that one of their workers died in such a tragic way. Follow me on YouTube for more content like this. Link in bio.
I'm about to ruin your childhood. Ever thought of Disneyland as a sinister place? Probably not. You probably went there on holiday and stuff. This will change your mind. In 2010, an employee who worked at Disneyland in one of the restaurants tragically killed himself. But it gets worse. Carved into the wall next to where he tragically died was a note carved into the wall saying, "I don't want to work for Mickey anymore."
Hello. Here's another Disney story, y'all. So this story starts off with 3 friends cleaning their stations at Disneyland's Critter Country, and it is in the restroom again. So Sarah's cleaning the restroom stall by stall, and if you're a cast member, you know that as you're cleaning anything, you have a cart with cleaning supply. When she was done finishing her stall, she turned around and her cart was not where it was. It was actually across the restroom in front of a different stall. Chalking it up to maybe it being on a slope and it rolling away, she just carried on her business and cleaned the next stall. As she was finished cleaning that one, when she turned around, her cart was gone again, and she thought maybe it was her friends playing a trick on her. She went outside to see if her friends were in fact pranking her, but they both said that they weren't, and they were both doing their duties, and they told her that she was just tired. She walked back into the restroom with every stall door open.
Hi, what is up everyone? Today we are going to talk about the scary places in Disney California Adventure. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm home now and filming this after, but they say that the locker rooms are actually a heavy paranormal spot. One Disney fanatic claimed that they were using the lockers by the entrance of Disney California Adventure, and it was only him and his sister when they noticed a little girl kept staring at them. At first, he didn't think much of it. He thought it was just a typical little kid just trying to play with them, trying to make friends. But then he noticed that there was no one else around. So the little girl had no parents, no guardian, no one was watching her. Taking a closer look, he noticed that there wasn't anything human about this little girl. The little girl continued to spy on them the whole time they were inside. But when they went to check on her, she disappeared. remind me to never get a locker. And one of my favorite rides, Soarin' Over California, now Soarin' Over the World, is also haunted. So the story goes that Disney California Adventure was actually part of the parking, or at least the tram went through what we now know as Disney California Adventure to get to Disneyland. Well, one day, a little girl was actually running around when the trams were going, and unfortunately, she ran right in the middle and a tram ran her over and she died. Now, of course, there aren't any reports of this, but Disney does always seem to cover it somehow. But it just seems to be one of those spooky Disney urban legends. Now, some of the cast members that do work Soarin' Over the World say that when people are flying and the ride is actually in action, it's on, people are riding it, that the employees, they kind of go on this little basement kind of thing. I don't really know how to describe it, but when the ride's on, that's where they go. And this girl was in there one day and no one else was supposed to be there. She was waiting for the ride to be over when she kept hearing footsteps and like someone was like passing by behind her. She kept turning around, like, who's passing by? Why am I hearing these steps? And no one was there. This is when she learned of the story about the little girl that got ran over, who they now believe is haunting this attraction. And finally, we cannot forget about the video that I had shared before. The apparition caught on tape on what was known the Tower of Terror.
Here are some things that actually happened at Disney parks that'll scare the hell out of you. Part 5. First up, we have a snake attack that killed a grandma. That's right, back in 2016 at Disney World's Animal Kingdom Park, an unfortunate death occurred when a wild snake that was not part of any of the zoo-like attractions fell from a tree and bit a young boy. But the boy was just fine. The snake was non-venomous. Unfortunately, the boy's grandmother was watching the whole ordeal and went into cardiac arrest from the surprise. That's insane. Next up, the Haunted Mansion ride gets filled with the ashes of dead people. That's right, over the years, Disney cast members and custodians have had to deal with multiple guests smuggling the ashes of their loved ones and scattering them somewhere around or inside the Haunted Mansion attraction. This has been happening at both the Orlando and California attractions. If you do get caught doing this, the ride gets stopped until custodians vacuum up your loved one's remains just so all of it can be thrown into the trash. So don't do this. Pretty cool!
Have you ever had a scary experience at Disneyland? Tell me about it. For me, mine was when It's a Small World shut down. This is so creepy because the lights shut off and only the emergency lights stay on. The dolls stop moving, I think, and the music stops, so it's just dead silence. All you hear is the water flowing. So you're in your boat and the boat is just flowing with the water because the water doesn't use electricity, it's just flowing in a circle. So you're still moving, but you're moving really slow in a dark area where some lights, the emergency exit lights, are on, and you look around and you just see these silhouettes of the dolls. And to make it worse, the boat in front of us was empty, so we have to ride this slow moving ride all the way till the exit, till the end of the ride, and it's pretty creepy. Tell me your story.